One of the items I see the most at Carboots these days is DVDs. It seems everyone is trying to get rid of these, even selling them incredibly cheap. But the thing is, there is a very small amount of DVDs that are worth a decent amount of money. So this week we're either going to get rich or DVD trying.
Get pick up! Videogames! Rush tricks! Not get your head!
Hello again folks and welcome back to this week's video. And this week we are once again heading back to the Carboot, but this time we are heading back to Sprowston Carboot, which if you remember was the very first Carboot I went to in 2022. Of course, when we go to the Carboot we are mainly looking for video games, but while we're there we can also look for items we can either flip on eBay or trade into CX for in-store credit. And an item I've slept on for far too long is DVDs. And trust me, I'm sure we all know the Carboots are absolutely full of DVDs, and why not take advantage while we're there? Just before we head to the Carboot, I want to remind you, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and please subscribe, as I put new videos out every Saturday live at 5, I really want you folks along for the ride. Now, let's get Carbooting. Here we are then early on a Sunday morning and the weather is looking good, and I'm just going to really enjoy what could be the last few Carboots of the year as the winter sets in. Obviously the mornings are going to get wetter, colder, and the Carboots are going to get a little bit more sparse, but while the Carboots are going, let's get stuck in. One of the first stores is absolutely packed with Pokemon cards, but seriously, who has the time to go through when they're loose like this? On to the next store, a very exciting selection of stuff, but you know what I'm always looking for? The video games, but sadly nothing to write home about here. Sports titles mainly for the PlayStation 2. I was quite tempted by Roller Coaster World, as you know I am a big fan of these kind of games where you can make a roller coaster, but sadly it was missing the instructions. It's not a super expensive game, so I'd rather try and get it complete. One of the most important things if you're looking to flip stuff from the Carboot is having a knowledge of the market. And the thing is, when it comes to CDs, I only really know the value of the music I listen to. So kind of rock, metal, punk, I know which of these CDs are valuable and they're going to be ones I keep an eye out for. But trust me, keep an eye out for CDs, as these are making a resurgence. You can flip these for some good money. Of course, mainly today though, we are looking for DVDs, and trust me, there's always tons of DVDs at the Carboot. Some of these hold value, most of these don't, but it's just, again, knowing the market. So, going through here, I think these were 5 DVDs for £1. That's the thing, you can pick these up super cheap, but if you get a DVD that's worth trading in, like Coraline, that trades in for £4. So essentially, I bought this DVD for 20p, and I'm going to get £4 CX trade-in credit from it. The thing is, I don't know every single DVD, so I'm just kind of picking a few randomly here, seeing if I can kind of guesstimate which ones these are going to be worth a little bit of money. Just the other side of the table, on the same stand, we had a box of video games, and at the end of the day, that is mainly what I am looking for at the Carboot to add to my collection. But if there's some I can pick up cheap to flip, I'm definitely going to do that too.
Please?
Sadly, these Call of Duties were not cheap enough to kind of flip into CX, but if I can pick up a game that I haven't got for cheap, I'm definitely going to do that as well. The thing is, I do enjoy a Call of Duty game. I just don't want to pay full price for it. I'm happy waiting a couple of years. Normally, it's just kind of a one playthrough for me. It's like a kind of watching a bad action film. You know, you just have to kind of turn your brain off and just enjoy the ride. That's how I see Call of Duty. It's a fun, kind of mindless ride. Another little stack of DVDs here, but sadly nothing worth trading in or really adding to the collection. Obviously, Cool Runnings, as we all know, is an absolute banger of a movie. Kind of a PC Call of Duty, you don't see those very often. Another stall and another pile of DVDs. I was quite interested in this American Pie box set. It did have all 8 films, but I think they wanted £3 or £4 for this, and it only trades in for £4, which is a shame. You think some of these box sets would trade in for a little bit more. I think a lot of people get the misconception that all Pokemon cards are worth a lot of money. It is very specific Pokemon cards that make a lot of money, and you will see a lot of people selling Pokemon cards like this in bulk at the Carboots. Trust me, most Pokemon cards sadly do not hold their value, but you never know when you're going to find that one rare card. Also, these big cards are not very rare. A couple of Xbox One games here, we are definitely seeing more of these at the Carboot. If you haven't played it before, Super Lucky's Tale is an absolute banger of a platformer. It has 3D as well as side-scrolling levels. It is really good, but I don't like it when people seal the discs. You can't check the condition of the disc. And if I cannot check the disc, I ain't taking the risk. Another American Pie box set. This time this one was brand new and sealed, but the thing is they wanted £8 for this, which I think is pretty absurd considering they sell this in CX for the exact same price. We all see a lot of vinyl records at the Carboot, and I was tempted to pick up this Star Wars one as I thought this might hold a little bit of value or be cool for the collection. But the thing is, this isn't an official Star Wars release, and a lot of records are obviously not worth a lot of money. And I think for £5, checking some eBay listings is about the going rate for this one, so I did pass on it. I'm always looking for cool lighting to have in the games room, and this IT lamp was definitely very, very cool, but sadly I did want 20 quid for it. It's cool, but not that cool. It's time for today's question of the video. Would you pick up this Xbox 360 bundle for 50 quid? Yes, it has Minecraft, but for me, I think that is very expensive, especially as you are taking a risk at the Carboot. Who knows if this was working? The controller and everything did look in good condition. I did wonder if they would have split some of the games, but sadly they wouldn't. Otherwise, I definitely picked up Minecraft to flip. I always see so much DS shovelware at the Carboot. I can't imagine this ever sells. Also, I'm seeing a lot of wrestling stuff. I was very tempted by this elimination chamber, but the problem was it's a very, very large item. But this stall did have some really cool bits. See some cool Star Wars bits there. As I said though, I'm always looking for lighting for the games room, and this Death Star light was very, very cool. I also especially look for these if they could be powered by battery. Back to the DVDs, and here is a crossover with video games. This Mortal Kombat promotional DVD. This is super cool. It had like the game logo on the back, so I guess this must have been a pre-order kind of bonus. But yeah, that is the kind of cool, rare stuff I love finding at the Carboots. These old, like, promotional materials. Digging deeper in, I did check out this Wizard of Oz DVD to see if that was worth much. And I know from my own collection that this Nightmare on Elm Street box set is worth a couple of quid. Obviously, I want to keep this in my own collection, but if I can pick it up cheaper to Carboot, I'm definitely going to pick it up. And that's the thing, box sets normally trade in for a better amount than kind of loose DVDs, especially if you have all of the films in like either a trilogy or like a series of films. People are always looking for box sets just so they can pick up the complete package in one go. So definitely keep an eye out for these at the Carboot. Okay folks, it's time to admit it. Who doesn't have a massive box of leads and kind of random bits in their games room? But the thing is, I'm always looking to add to this, like, you know, if I can find weird attachments to controllers or kind of TV wires, power cables, anything like that. As that's the thing with retro gaming, these are the kind of bits that wear out, and these are sometimes the harder bits to find here. Like you can see here, I found the back of a Game Boy Advance. It was like a rechargeable pack. There, an old Xbox 360 headset, but this place had loads and loads of random leads, controllers, various bits like this. These were all like £1 or £2 for £1 or something. So I did pick up this multi-tap for the PlayStation 2 just because I liked it, just because it looked like a tiny PlayStation 2, which I thought was kind of amusing. Loads and loads of leads here, and the thing is, again, it's all about knowledge. It's trying to recognise what you have here. I don't normally pick up third-party controllers, as normally they're either a bit rubbish and also they don't trade in very well. But as I said, it's about knowledge, as I nearly missed this lead here for the PS1, and this is a really good lead to pick up because you can sell these fairly well on eBay, but I will be keeping this for my collection and just basically increasing the amount of stuff in my big box of leads. This is a real oddity and something I've been looking for a long while, a kind of tabletop Star Wars RPG game, kind of, you know, like your Dungeons and Dragons, stuff like that, but they seem to have discontinued all of these, and being able to pick one of these up at the Carboot is a really good deal. I did pay quite a bit for this, but it is worth it, as like these games are getting harder and harder to find, and this one was in absolutely amazing condition. And yeah, I was surprised to see this, but trust me, some of these vintage Star Wars things are getting more and more expensive, but it's not all Star Wars things. Like you saw those figures there, a lot of stuff like that, they just mass produce so much and it holds little value. If you can get these Game of Thrones Blu-ray boxes cheap, they're well worth it, but for £5, you're not going to make any profits, sadly. If you didn't know, I'm a massive player of board games, so I'm always looking out for some cool board games when I'm at the Carboot. But the thing is with these, some people overprice these. Sometimes you can get a real bargain. I think they wanted £4 or £5 for each of these games. And the thing is, if you are picking up a board game at the Carboot, you don't know if it's complete. I was very tempted to take a risk on these, but I did decide to pass, just, you know, not knowing if they're complete and not really knowing a lot about these games. You do sometimes find a gem, but you can pick up some real stinkers, so I did decide to pass on these today. But yeah, it's cool to see some decent board games at the Carboot, and I don't mean Monopoly. Here is a bit of a weird rarity and something you are seeing less and less of: vintage mice. That's right, those kind of old mice that used to have like the ball in there that you had to kind of clean all the gunk out of periodically. These were all brand new in the box. They are a really weird one. I was very, very tempted to pick these up, but I did manage to pass. But it's just such a zeitgeist, kind of that old school gaming PC when you had like your mouse, your ergonomic keyboard, all the core setup. And yeah, it's definitely something I want to do down the line, a retro PC setup. Probably the item I have traded in the most to CX is Wii consoles. During the pandemic, I was buying these all the time off Facebook Marketplace and taking them into CX. Sadly, the price they pay for a Wii has dropped a lot.
Go on, mate. Go on, sure, got on your way. £7. You got any controllers or just...
No, it's all what I've got then, just them bits, and I don't know if they all go. That's just how I come.
Alright, cheers, thank you anyway.
But fear not, that Wii might have been overpriced and a little bit bad, but there was another Wii console literally across the road.
Morning, how much you got on your Wii?
15 quid.
15.
This is why it's so important to have a good knowledge of the market, as the price of the Wii has dropped so much over the past year and it's not really worth the effort of trading these in as much these days. But don't worry, we still picked up some cool bits to add to the collection, some bits to trade into CX, so let's go back to the games room, check out his pickups. Here we are then, back in the games room from that Carboot. We may not have become millionaires, but we've still got a few cool bits to add into the collection and a couple of prize DVDs to trade into CX for that sweet, sweet store credit. Every week I seem to see a stall just full of leads and accessories for video games, and being able to pick both of these bits up for £1 each isn't too bad. So first of all, we have this television lead for the PS1, and then we have this really cool, in my eyes at least, kind of multi-tap for the PlayStation 2, which looks a bit like a mini PlayStation 2. I'm always looking for cool little lighting bits to put around the games room, especially if there's something cool like Star Wars. This was only £1, and one of the bonuses is this can even be powered off batteries or via USB, so I haven't got to worry about leads. This can go anywhere I like in the games room. I'm a massive board game fan and a massive fan of tabletop RPGs, and of course a massive fan of Star Wars, so this was an absolute no-brainer to pick it up. And these Star Wars role-playing games are getting harder and harder to find as kind of Disney takes over the world and discontinues more and more of these. I think it's going to get super expensive down the line. I did pay £8 for this, but for a full game with built-in characters, I think that's really good. And one of the bigger bonuses, when I kind of go inside this, it does come with a bonus action figure, which is pretty cool. It is quite strange, it's only on this kind of smaller box, but still very cool nonetheless. Just the one game pickup this week, and it is a Call of Duty game, and as I've said many times before, I kind of see these as corny action films. They're really good for one playthrough, but I don't want to pay full price for this, so very happy to pick up Call of Duty Ghosts for just £2. This is now a £10 game in CX, which is really surprising. Even if I do want to keep it in the collection, it trades in for £4. For too long I've slept on DVDs at the Carboot, but the thing is there is so many there and it's difficult to know what to pick up. So when I saw it's 5 for £1, I wanted to kind of just get in there and get a little bit of experience. So I picked up The Corpse Bride. Sadly doesn't trade in for much, but it's a kind of DVD I thought might not, but now for the future I'll know that it doesn't. Did pick up some Christmas films. I got The Muppet Christmas Carol for my personal collection, and also Deck the Halls with everyone's favourite actor in it. I also picked up this copy of Mortal Kombat for my personal collection because it's an absolute banger and arguably one of the best video game based films of all time. But the MVP out of this 5 for £1 was the movie Coraline. If you see this on Blu-ray or DVD, pick it up. When I picked it up, I got it in 5 for £1, so I paid 20p in theory, and it trades in at the moment at CX for £4. That is a massive increase off of 20p. Sadly, a couple of weeks ago, it's trading in for £6, but 20p into £4, pretty good. Here's our final pickup of this weekend, and this is why I love the Carboot. you find things you never knew existed, such as this Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance promotional DVD. So on the back there it has the kind of game logo, so I presume this must have been like a pre-order bonus, and this is the kind of cool, weird oddity I love to add into my collection, and I just love how it fits the theme of being video games and DVDs in one pickup. So there we have it. We may not have exactly got rich, but at least I'm starting to gain a bit more knowledge into the market of DVD selling. And that's what it's all about. The knowledge really is priceless. I will just see a DVD, and once I know it's valuable, I'll be keeping a lookout for it forever. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, leave a comment, subscribe, and as always, keep playing the game. See y'all soon.